something I'm passionate about, Mass Effect, and it's going to be a super nerdy ramble about the Mass Effect timeline, but I'm also going to ramble a little about Back to the Future and a small Disney Plus series called For Parallels. So this is for you who enjoy rambles, okay? So I hope it's cozy and relaxing for you today to just watch me ramble on. And I'll just give you a warning for those who haven't seen Back to the Future, Parallels, or played Mass Effect. There are major spoilers today. Yeah, this is a spoilers type of video, just to be clear. Okay. So this is the Mass Effect Collector's Edition. It's the second Mass Effect game. And the Mass Effect series has produced 4 games, 1 trilogy and a 4th game, set separately. And this is the Collector's Edition. I can show you guys. It's a really nice edition. So this is the Collector's Edition of the second Mass Effect game. It's really smooth cover here. Love it. See here what it looks like. It's kind of this bookish type of cover almost. And here you can see various stuff within the book. You can see the opening part of the Mass Effect Redemption, a comic which is the opening part of the Mass Effect Redemption story, and a collector's edition art book. So, I've had this for many years. Yeah, I can open this one too, and in here you can even find I believe you can find this like a card. So yeah, so you can see here, yeah, it's a card. So it's really fun. So I love this box. Okay. Apologies, I just have to get it back there. I got it back in the box. Okay. Well, I never knew this game was 18 plus. Oh. Anyway, the Mass Effect universe is super interesting. It's sort of set in the far future in the 2180s, about 160 years from now, and it's set. Sure, it's a small fly. It's set at a time and place when humanity has joined the galactic community. They found out what other species exist out in the galaxy, and they have joined this universal galaxy wish of species. And humanity has become really advanced. And you play as Commander Shepard during the course of the trilogy, but I'm not going to go into the story right now. I'm going to talk a little more about the timeline. So, because that's what I'm going to nerd about today, the timeline of Mass Effect. So, I know a little about the timeline. So, we're going to begin in 2069, because there is a codex in the Mass Effect games, featuring lots of lore and background on the timeline. And the gaming company which produces Mass Effect also produces the fantasy games known as Dragon Age, and they're great at lore and world building. I'm not kidding. There is so much codex entries and lore and world building and history in these games, in the Mass Effect games too. So in 2069, I believe that an outpost is founded on the moon, on Luna, to mark the 100th anniversary of the lunar moon landing. That's what happens in 2069 in this timeline. And then we know from the Kasumi DLC of the second Mass Effect game. But in the 2090s, a major war breaks out in North America. It's not really a big part of Mass Effect, it's just a small piece of lore in the DLC, but we just know that from the DLC that a major war breaks out in North America in the 2090s. In 2103, Mars is officially gets its first colony. And then things get more interesting, because now we're moving up in the timeline. In the 2130s to 2140s, humanity becomes much more advanced, They start sort of exploiting the Earths in the solar system or solar system and start to become a more spacefaring species. Yup. And they also, around 2132 or something, built a Gagarin station, which was intended as sort of a jumping off point for humanity into the further galaxy. But now dramatic things are about to happen in the timeline. Dramatic things. Because in 2148, a major event happens. In 2148, humans on Mars find the ruins of an ancient alien civilization. And that's big, because finally humanity got clear proof in the timeline. But it was not alone in the universe. We have now found the ruins of an ancient species, but wasn't humans on Mars. So that's of course major news on Earth. And the ruins and the data found in these ruins leads humanity in 2149 to the Sharon mass relay. And mass relays are these gigantic things which acts as sort of portals between various points of the galaxy, enabling faster than light travel, so you can travel to different star systems. Because when you travel through one mass relay and arrive in a different system through another mass relay in that system, to simplify it a little, and through this, humanity spreads their wings out across the galaxy and starts settling colonies, including Terra Nova, Eden Prime, lots of colonies in the 2150s. So now humanity has become galactic. It's probably, if this timeline were a real universe and you lived in it, it's of course major news. It's major news. It's sensational and groundbreaking. But in 2159 or 2152-53, in the early 2150s, a shipping accident occurs in Singapore, I believe, exposing downwind communities to something called for element zero, and children born in these communities are born with a genetic defect, making them they get superpowers. They get something called biotics from this dust, and this gives them superpowers. So the children, they become like superpowered, and Gagarin station is eventually turned into a training station for these biotics. Now something even more interesting is about to happen in the timeline. In 2157, humanity for the first time makes contact with an alien species. So if the things which happened before in this timeline has been groundbreaking, wow, then 2157 is, wow, super groundbreaking. Now humanity actually encounters an alien species. They encounter a species known as the Turians, and the Turians are upset at humanity because humanity has done something which actually, according to the galactic community, is illegal. They've activated mass relays without safety protocols, and that's illegal. So the Turians, when they see humans try to activate a mass relay, they attack, and they chase humans to the colony, the human colony world of Shanxi. And they occupy Shanxi, and obviously this will probably have been major news on Earth within the timeline, because this means that another species has attacked humanity, and a human world has been invaded and occupied by aliens. That's shocking news for humanity. Now we know there are aliens in the universe. There's panic on the Earth, of course, super panic. But the Systems Alliance, which sort of has spearheaded some of the space initiatives of humanity, are now taking military actions, and they managed to repel the Turians off from the colony. And this event becomes known as the First Contact War, because it's humanity's first contact with another species and with the galaxy at large. Thankfully, before the war goes even further, an entity known as the Galactic Council intervenes and forces a peace between humans and Turians, probably saving many lives. So because of this, there is some tensions between humans and Turians after this war. But because of this, humanity now gets introduced to the rest of the galaxy and gets to meet all the other species. And they get introduced to the Citadel Station, which is the central hub of the galactic community. And in 2165, humanity is granted an embassy at the Citadel Station. As with many other species, that's a major accomplishment for humanity. So now humanity has to adjust to a new world on the universe where we're not alone, anymore. We now have to accept that we're part of a bigger universe in this timeline. So if you live in this timeline, these are some sensational times for humanity. However, not all species are equally welcoming of humanity. In 2165, a species known as the Batarians are angry at what they mean are privileges for humanity, and around the 2160s they close their embassies and they go rogue and sort of declare almost a conflict with humanity. And in 2170, Batarian slavers and pirates attack the human colony of Mindor and enslave people there. And this leads up to a conflict in the Attic and Traverse space region, where there are lots of human colonies, and finally it culminates in 2176 with the Skyllian Blitz. And the Skyllian Blitz is a word, I believe is Elysium, the word of Elysium, in the Skyllian Verge region of the galaxy, and where Batarians, slavers, pirates, and Batarians attack the human world and colony. But humans defend the Skyllian Blitz and manage to repel the attack. So it's a major victory for humanity, but it's a big attack in 2176. And actually, the protagonist of this, the hero of the Mass Effect games, Commander Shepard, one of the three backgrounds you can choose for him or her, depending on what gender you play as, is actually being a hero of the Skyllian Blitz. Now I'm just going to move a little across the rest of the timeline here. In 2177, humanity for the first time on the colony world of Arcus encounters a creepy worm species known as Treshimoths, which devours the colony. They are gigantic worms, kind of nasty. You can meet them in the games. I don't like them. Most people don't. At least I don't like them in the first game because they're kind of difficult to fight. And I don't like fighting them, they're kind of creepy. And in 2178, humans, as retaliation for Batarian activities, attacked the moon of Torfan. And I believe it's retaliation for the Skyllian Blitz, and wipes out a base of battalions of pirates. And the 2 events I mentioned are also possible backgrounds for Commander Shepard. Now we're moving up to the 2180s, and now we're moving up to the events of the Mass Effect game. So now, for those of you who haven't played the games, so far I have just given you the background information. Now I'm going to go into the events of the games themselves. Now there are some major spoilers, okay? And also I realize I shifted to soft spoken a little here. I'm going to try to whisper a little again now. Apologies. In 2183, humans, the human colony of Eden Prime is attacked by an artificial intelligence species known as the Get. And this begins the Eden Prime War, which Commander Shepard is a big part of. And the Get army is led by a rogue spectre, Saren Arterius, who acts as the villain of the game. But they're actually just puppets for an ancient race of machines known as the Reapers, who are about to return to the galaxy and wreak havoc and harvest the entire galactic civilization. They're terrifying things, and it turns out they've been eradicating galactic civilizations for many thousands, if not millions of years. There are many ancient species which have met the fate of being harvested by the Reapers. For the Reapers, they utterly destroy civilizations. So Shepard has tried to find a way to stop the Reapers. And at the end, in 2183, the Citadel station is attacked by Saren and the Get. But Shepard saves the Citadel and prevents the Reapers from returning Valtier. In 2185, human colonies in the Terminus systems, which is the sort of criminal part of the galaxy, are attacked by a race known as the Collectors, who also work for the Reapers. So Shepard allies with a human supremacist group known as Cerberus to sort of get the colonists back and once again stop the agents of the Reapers. And then in 2186 the Reapers return. They come back, they come to the galaxy, and the galaxy learn of the Reapers' existence. And now the entire galaxy now enters a war with the Reapers. So in Mass Effect 3, it's a war game. Yeah. And they turn people into these, the Reapers are terrifying. They turn people into these zombies or undead, not zombies but undead. And they harvest them and it's terrifying. And they have these big machines who destroy worlds. It's really a major fight against the Reapers. But then. So, yeah. So that's what happens in the final game, and it's a major game and major events occurring in 2186, which almost ends up destroying the entire galactic civilization. Earth is attacked by the Reapers too, so Earth is also struggling at the end. And you actually are on Earth 2 times in the final game. There's also a 4th game, but this is set many centuries afterwards in a different galaxy. It is set in 2819 in the Andromeda galaxy, I believe. And in Andromeda galaxy, there are people who left. They've slept in cryostasis for centuries. They left the galaxy in 2184 or 85 before the arrival of the Reapers. But they emerged to Andromeda in 2119 and they tried to colonize that galaxy. However, it's proving difficult because there are lots of troubles. There is an aggressive species known as the Ketver, which are not very welcoming. Although they try to forge a peaceful relation with the more peaceful species there, the Angara. And there's also an event known as the Scourge, which are these tendrils which stretch across possibly the universe, but at least the Andromeda galaxy. And these tendrils in 2819 are making the galaxy very difficult to traverse. So it's a major effort to colonize Andromeda. So that's some of the events of the Mass Effect games. And that's the human part. I'm also now going to shortly go into the galactic history. You see, the galaxy history stretches back millennia. It was the Asarian-Salarian species, which around year 0, year 0 of the console era, founded the Citadel Station and the galactic community. And then shortly afterwards, or around that same time, they activated a mass relay they shouldn't activate and triggered the Arachni Wars. And the Arachni were this bug species which started to invade the galaxy, so it was a major war against them. The Salarian species, they found a primitive species on a planet known as the Krogan, and the Krogan, they were very primitive. They were trying to survive a self-inflicted nuclear winter, but they were good soldiers, and they helped the galaxy against the Arachni. Unfortunately, the galaxy had to go to conflict with the Krogan just a few centuries later. Just a few centuries later. Because the Krogan, they started taking colonies, and even colonies and worlds they had no right to, so eventually the galaxy fought against them, and this event was known as the Krogan Rebellions. The Krogan Rebellions ended when the galaxy made contact with the Turian species, and the Turians, they had a no-nonsense approach, and they bombed the Shanka and Krogan worlds with a virus known as the Genopage, which made Krogans, which made it so that most Krogans were born would not live to adulthood. No. Meaning that there are far fewer Krogans, essentially depleting their numbers. Now we're moving forward in the timeline to the late 1800s, and that's when the Curian species create the Get. And the Get are these artificial intelligences. However, the Get turn on the Curians and drive them into exile. So they're forced to flee the homeworld because the Get, they rebel and they take the world for themselves. And that's also a major part of Mass Effect lore and backstory, because that's the story of artificial intelligence taking control of a world. However, as it turns out in the Mass Effect games, the story is actually a bit more complicated than that. But yeah, you'll have to play the game to find out to find out the full extent of it. Okay, now I've nerded super much about the Mass Effect games. Like, you're probably super tired of hearing about it, but I warned you. This was going to be a nerdy ramble. The next part I'm going to talk about is Back to the Shooter. And now I nerded so much about Mass Effect, I'm going to keep the next part shorter. The Back to the Shooter are timeless time travel classics. And in the Back to the Shooter films, Marty, or rather a crazy scientist known as the Doc, who lives in Hill Valley town of California, invents a time machine out of a DeLorean car. It's kind of funny. The Back to the Shooter films does not take themselves too seriously, and it's this American teen Marty who goes with, who sort of takes the time machine and goes on these adventures with the Doc. I'm not going to spoil the details, but the film started in 1985, and then Marty eventually ends up in 1955 through the time machine, and meets his father and mother when they were young, and sort of changes the course of history and the timeline, even though he's just trying to get back to 1985. He eventually gets back to 1985, and now there are major spoilers here, just to be clear. However, he goes back to a slightly changed 1985. Oh, stupid fly. Sorry, it's a super annoying flyer. He goes back to 1985, but it's a slightly changed 1985. When we get to the second movie, it travels to a science fiction version of 2015. Like it looks. Sorry, apologies. The fly is super annoying. It looks like a science fiction version. It looks so much more advanced than the 2015 VND, but it's funny. Then we travel back to an alternate, seriously dystopic version of 1985, ruled by the film's villain. I'm not going to say more than that. And then we travel back to 1955 again to try to correct that. And then in the third movie, it opens in 1955 and then goes back to 1885 and the Old West, and then ends in 1985. So it's a fun time travel adventure, a trilogy of movies. And then you have a limited series on Disney Plus, the teenage series known as Parallels, which is actually for a time travel series, although it does nothing new, is quite entertaining. In Parallels, 4 teenage friends, Sam, Victor, Bilal and Romain, are to celebrate a birthday party in a bunker, but were actually sent into parallel timelines, and the years which are present in the series are 2021, 2025, and 2011 is seen shortly in the opening and in relation to another missing person, and 2035 is seen shortly in some visions in the last episode, but most is set in 2021, and we're sent into parallel timelines and how to sort of correct reality and get everything back into one timeline, because the friends are separated into various timelines. I'm not going to say more than that about that, but it's an enjoyable series. But now I ramble more than enough. I'm sure you're super tired of hearing me ramble now. Oh, but those of you who enjoy nerdy rambles, who enjoy nerdy stuff, wish you all the best and hope you enjoyed me nerding. Like people who don't like nerding, I hope you didn't watch this video, because this is just for you nerds out there. Wish you all the best. Thank you.